the new Minion Prince equipment is here. I want to give you guys a short video explaining kind of how it works, some tricks and things that I've found out how to kind of manipulate the housing ability in order to activate the equipment and bonuses and stuff a little bit earlier, as well as my thoughts on the equipment overall. I'm just going to push play on this replay. Now, one trick that I've learned, this actually comes from 𝗪𝗧𝗧, so shout out to him, by the way. The skeleton spell, actually, the death of the skeletons counts as 2 space for whatever reason, whether that's intentional or not. 1 housing space when they lose their armor, and 1 when they die completely. So a skeleton spell will really speed up how quickly the Minion Prince goes to his, he achieves his bonuses, if that makes sense. So that might be a trick that you can use. You'll see that I use, as soon as I recall my Royal Champion here with this Root Rider attack, I will very quickly use 2 skeleton spells at the beginning to help get his bonuses a little bit earlier on. Now, in basically any attack, I don't think you'll ever want to substitute the Dark Orb. It's just, man, it's one of the best pieces of equipment in the game. If you have to substitute the Dark Orb to get the Dark Crown, it would just not be worth it at all. But because, and I'll pause here real quick, because he loses survivability with either losing the Metal Pants or the Henchman Puppet or whatever it is, because he doesn't go invisible anymore, right? Because the Henchman Puppet does that. He does become really squishy. Even if he's got all 30% extra health and stuff, you'll see at the end of this attack, a mine still does like half of his health. So you can see he's already raged up, I think, twice now because of the skeleton spells and whatever else is dying in there. So he does do, I mean, he's doing a lot of damage and he's pretty tanky. Luckily, the mine didn't hit him there. Also, the Apprentice Warden with this army is kind of a nice little touch, right? Because he'll get 20% or 24%, whatever it is, 26, I think, actually, on top of the 30%. So it kind of does stack a little bit, which is really nice. So he does get a lot of health. But yeah, you'll watch towards the end here. Mine still does like half of his health. So he's still really squishy, right? And in the clan castle, I put a Yeti, a balloon, and 4 rocket balloons just to help tank the mines, because the mines are definitely going to be the most threatening thing to him in this attack. A couple of other cool things. If you're looking to try and make the Dark Crown like the main piece of the equipment in the attack, I think you're really going to struggle. It's just, I don't think that's what it's really meant for. It's, my opinion of it as of right now is kind of meh. It's an okay piece of equipment. Probably not going to get used very often unless you're doing it for cool points or unless some people find out a way to use it that I haven't yet. But it's a little bit underwhelming, but that's not a bad thing, right? Not every piece of equipment needs to be really, really broken upon release. Let me go ahead and show you guys some of the charges and things, though, that I have tried, at least so that you can kind of see off the equipment, right? Because that is what we're here for. All right, so I'm going to show you guys the only attack that I've really been able to come up with where the Dark Crown is the centerpiece of the attack, and also seems like maybe it's useful in this situation. Now, this is probably not going to be very versatile, so I wouldn't recommend taking this into Legend League, and I haven't really figured out the rest of the army yet, really, just the entry point of this attack. What we're going to do is we're going to start out with a few rocket balloons to take out an air defense, also search for mines. We're going to use a couple of skeleton spells to help activate those bonuses more quickly, because, again, each skeleton counts as 2 housing space, whether that's intentional or not. And then we're going to have a troop launcher filled with rocket balloons to help look for the seeking mines, because if an air defense or something targets the Minion Prince, we can make him invisible. But even if he's invisible, the mines are still going to hit him, right? So those are really the dangerous part. I also have 1 druid that I put behind, and you can see it's healing up the Minion Prince and the Warden. So that 1 druid actually puts in some work. So that was kind of a nice touch, I think. And we're going to invest 2 skeleton spells, 2 invisibility spells, and a recall with our troop launcher as well, so don't forget that. But with that, we're going to get over 1/3 of the base, including a lot of the CC, a raged up area, and the monolith, and we set a fantastic funnel. So this has been probably the best way that I've been able to come up with using the equipment, where the equipment's kind of the main centerpiece. Again, I don't know if this is worth taking into Legend League or using and stuff, because I just don't know that it's going to be that good. But it is a lot of fun, though. I will say that. This is probably the attack that I will use later on in my video today, is starting out with this in Legend League, and I'll figure out the rest of the army then. But let me show you this entry on a couple more bases. That way you guys can get a better idea. All right, let's take a look at another base. I've used this a few more times, and I can pretty consistently get above like 30% on these attacks. Now what you don't want to do is deploy him anywhere near the clan castle, because he'll just waste all of his shots on the CC, and you kind of waste the potential a lot. Again, it might seem like you're wasting 2 skeleton spells, but 2 spell space to get him 2 levels up, essentially, with his bonus or whatever. It's not quite 2, but it ends up getting there really quickly because of the other little stuff that's spawning. By the way, the clan castle troops do not contribute towards the bonus, but the giants and barbarians and wall breakers that are spawning do, so it's kind of weird. I don't really understand the relationship there, but you can see we're still pretty healthy. I still have both of my invisibility spells, and I can recall, right? I'm not really overly worried about the Minion Prince going down. I probably should put more rocket loons in here for this part of the attack, because now the troop launcher's gone and I don't have any other safety net for these mines. So like if there was a mine here, it would do like half of his health instantly. I do have the metal pants still, so he does have some health recovery and stuff, but that's obviously, you don't want that to be the case. But yeah, we're getting about 1/3 of the base here. The funnel's obviously really good. At this point, I probably would just finish the funnel over here somehow and then charge through the middle with whatever I wanted the rest of the attack to be, which again, I'll figure out what the attack will be later on. I don't have a ton of time before I've got to go to work, and I wanted to at least show you guys some cool things about the new equipment. But let's go ahead and show you guys 1 or 2 more replays. All right, here's another one. One of the hard things is trying to take out these air defenses at the beginning, because if you don't have the Angry Jelly on the Minion Prince, which you definitely would not want, I think it'd be really hard to keep him alive. He kind of goes wherever the next building is, right? But I want to show you guys, man, this one druid, it stays pretty safe because it's back behind all of the defenses and things. And with the troop launcher spawning stuff to tank the ground stuff, the druid lives through its entire duration basically every time. I might try and find a way to do a longer charge and include a couple more druids with this, because this seems really cool. Look at that. You can just see him healing up. Look at that. Like, it's actually, like, you never think of druids healing air stuff, but it's actually doing it this time. So that's kind of cool. I should use my poison on the furnace, but I was an idiot. That was kind of what costed me this Minion Prince coming to the middle here. And I decided to rage here just to kind of see what I could get. I wouldn't have wasted the rage there in a real raid, but... Well, okay, let me do one more replay. I'm going to put some more druids in, and I kind of want to test that out and just see how much we can actually get with this. All right, here we go. Here's with a few more druids, and I put some furnaces in here. I don't know if this is what I'll stick with when I go later in today in Legend League, but the idea was I wanted the fire mites to tank for the druids so that the druids could live the entire duration and heal the whole time, if that makes sense. We get over 50% of the base, though, which is kind of cool. We ring around the middle, but honestly, with like the rocket spear and a couple of invisibility spells, I could have tackled the core with the Royal Champion by herself almost. So it ends up being pretty good. And we deal with the CC, so the Royal Champion wouldn't have had to even deal with the CC here. Let me just kind of show you what it is, though. I really need to maybe include a few more rocket loons, especially for when the troop launcher runs out, because at that point you'll see him tank a mine to the face, like right by this expo over here. By the way, this is kind of usually how I come up with newer armies and stuff. I usually figure out the very beginning until I feel like I've got it kind of nailed down. Then I add pieces slowly over time until I feel like it works good. So and then as I do friendly challenges, I realize like, oh, I don't need this, or oh, I need a little bit more of this. So that's kind of how I usually do things if I try and make up new things. So that's what I think. We'll try and take a... Yeah, there's the freaking... yeah, dude, the mines still wreck the Minion Prince, by the way. And the druids, actually, they kind of have a nice synergy. When I don't know if when they go into a druid form, if that housing space counts towards the Minion Prince, but I do know that the bears obviously do, right, if they die. So I don't know if that's like a 2-in-1 type thing, kind of like the skeleton spells. And actually, we might even get the town hall here, to be honest. I didn't even realize that with the... yeah, there's no builder out there. We should be getting the town hall, right? Well, never mind. That multi-inferno's wrecking the furnaces, so probably town hall doesn't go down. But anyway, this is it. And I just kind of let this go until I let the Minion Prince go to Phoenix ability, and then I revive him, and just to see how much value we could get with this. And then I recall them both afterwards. The Warden almost dies because he tanks for a little bit while the Minion Prince... like the defense is retarget here to him. But we get the scatter shot down before the Minion Prince or the Warden dies, so it ends up working out. So we did have both heroes alive for the next phase of the attack, whatever that would have been. So yeah, we get over 50% of the base. A lot of kind of scary stuff. And then I would have had to just figure out what I wanted to do. And the town hall is less than half health, so I could have just gotten some rocket spears and stuff and been okay there. But yeah, we recall, and that's it. So this, I'll take into Legend League later today. I'll fine tune it throughout the day and stuff, but this is kind of the idea for what I'll take into Legend League. So hopefully we have some fun and we can make this at least good enough to where you can triple with it somewhat consistently in Legend League. Because it is kind of a fun attack, right? Like you've never really seen anything quite like this in the game. But anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know your thoughts on the new equipment. But again, I think it's, if you're planning on, like if you have the snake bracelet and the magic mirror, I would say, yeah, obviously get this equipment. It seems like eventually people figure out ways to use them, or Supercell might buff it or something in the future. So you just never know. Like the spiky ball we all thought was going to be trash. Fireball we thought was going to be trash. Snake bracelet we thought was going to be trash. And I know some people are going to say it's still trash, but all of the pros are using it. The pros are using the snake bracelet more than almost any other king equipment right now. And it's becoming really popular at high Legend League too. So people are using the snake bracelet more than most other king equipments now, other than the spiky ball and earthquake boots. And I would bet you that will continue to change as people level up the snake bracelet. But again, this is kind of like that. I feel like it's kind of useful and sometimes, but it's hard to justify using it over other equipment or other heroes in the game. But anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I'll see you guys next time later today with this attack.